Okay, and we are live. Ben, are you ready to take the helm today? Because I believe you are the man in charge.
Hello there, Mac. Yes, thank you very much. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from wherever you are in the world. Yes, I have the pleasure of hosting today's session. Francis is off gallivanting around the country, scaring and advising and educating people on cybersecurity and cybercrime within. He's actually with estate agents today, so I'm sure they'll keep him on his toes. I would like to start just by going around the panel and making some introductions, but please, when you do get a chance to talk, then do introduce yourself and give us a bit more information about who you are and what you do. But I have the pleasure of being joined by Very from the Beds Police and Hannah from the London Cyber Resilience Centre. And then we've got Paul from the Eastern Cyber Resilience Centre. We've got Magic Man Martin. He'll be coming in halfway through the session to impress us and scare us with his magic and his mind reading. And I'm here to hopefully bring it all together. So, Mac, thank you very much for getting this organised for us. We couldn't do this without you. We'll come to you in just a moment to talk about backups. And did we tell everyone about what the topic is? Well, hopefully, if you've joined the link, then everyone knows already that today's topic is backups. It is the last line of cyber resilience, so that in a worst case situation, when something does happen, you can always recover your data and get your business back up and running. Excuse me. So Matt will come on to you shortly about what we can do with LinkedIn, but social media. So many small businesses now have a presence on social media, and they're particularly vulnerable, of course, if that account gets hacked. If they haven't got their multi-factor in place, they've been done by social engineering to give away their password and what have you. So, Paul, I was hoping that I might bring you in to start off with, to tell us a bit about what's happened and what you've seen in terms of social media and particularly Facebook, and what people need to do to protect themselves and what we can do to actually back up that data.
Sure, thanks, Ben. Yeah, now all I was going to say about this was really that working within the eastern region, so that's the 7 counties in the east of England, so that's Essex and Kent, Norfolk, Suffolk, Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire and Hertfordshire. We unfortunately we come across lots of businesses who are referred to us who've had they've lost their sort of social media platforms and what have you, and many businesses use a wide range of social media platforms to reach out to their customers, and they can be really good. They're quite cheap to use, they're accessible, a lot of people are comfortable using them, and one of the ones, others are available obviously, but Facebook Marketplace is a well-known social media platform that we see small businesses using, and in many cases they rely on that one platform to run their entire business. A lot of sole traders and micros, they run their businesses from phones. They haven't got networks and large computers. They're running their businesses from a single device. And in many cases, sadly, they haven't got multi-factor authentication set up on their accounts. I know we're not talking about that today, but that's a simple fix, and they can go to their provider to find out how to do that. But once they've had their account hacked, compromised, taken over, whatever it might be, the first thing that the criminals will do is put multi-factor authentication onto that account so that they can't get back into it themselves. So that's the first thing. And then obviously the criminals will then use the account to commit whatever fraud or whatever the thing they're going to do with the account. And the sad fact of the matter is, in the vast majority of cases, if you lose control of your account, whichever social media account that might be, you simply don't get it back again. There are a lot of reasons for that, but in many cases the criminals will post content on your site which is inappropriate or illegal, and the security algorithms of the company behind the platform will then delete your account and all of its data forever from their platform. So that's it. So once you've lost your account, you're probably never going to get it back again, unless you're very, very fortunate and you're very quick to react to what's happened. And in many cases, the sad fact of the matter is, if you to back up the data from these accounts is a very, very simple thing. Depending on what kind of device you're using, which platform you're based on will be slightly different. But again, you go to your provider and have a look at how you can back it up. You may need a laptop to back it up onto, but it's a very simple thing to do, and it won't cost any money either. But like I said, if you haven't backed up your data, picture yourself, you're a small business owner and your entire business is in your phone, and it's contained within, say, Facebook Marketplace, just as by way of example, and you can't get access to it. What are you going to do? And the sad fact of the matter is, we've seen this time and time again with businesses across the region, and nationally, globally, it's repeated everywhere. Businesses have to take months out of their, out of their counters to try and rebuild their contacts through other ways, or in many cases, they never get their businesses back up and running again. I was talking to a business that was a pub, a gastro pub in Essex, which is where I live, and they ran all of their marketing, and their booking system was all run through the social media platform. And once they lost the account, they never got it back again. They hadn't backed up their data. And the guy, the owner of this pub, said they were going to have to close the pub down. They had no plan B. There was no way of actually regaining the customer database and what have you. It was really, really sad to see. And that pub has now sadly gone out of business as a result of that one cyber attack against something which was so easily preventable, maybe through multi-factor authentication or other means. And certainly, if they had been compromised and they backed their data up, they could have reloaded onto a new account and got their business back up and running again. So they're the sorts of things we see, from a small business perspective, sort of time and time again across the region. And it's so avoidable, and it's tragic when it happens, but it's so simple to prevent.
Oh, Paul, it is tragic that it's actually closed. And even as a technical person myself, I think of backups. You think of a laptop with a hard drive, or maybe connected to some cloud storage, and it's taking your documents. But you don't think about it. It's not so intuitive to think to back up the social media platforms. Because you just take it for granted, and this is similar for email data with Microsoft and Microsoft 365 and Google Workspaces. People will assume it's in the cloud; it must be backed up. And I think, as you emphasise, one of the big challenges is if the account gets taken over, that there's no clear avenue of how to get the site back. And if anything, it's actually a bit distressing that there's not more facilities for people, because if you think it's the small businesses that invest their time and put their businesses on their platform are promoting and generating revenue for that platform, and yet the lack of support that they get when things don't go well and when things do go wrong is a crying shame, really. It's all done by email or by messages. You can't even ring up and speak to a human. It's a real shame, and like you say, you've got businesses. There was a lady that had her Facebook account hacked, and she did a specialist cake maker, and she had 10 years of business and all the photos of all the different wonderful cakes and things that she supplied, and all these events and what have you, and it all gone. And worse than that, because the person, the hacker, had actually started posting about Bitcoin links and things that are against the rules of the platform, they just killed the account. So it's not even that she was worried that they were going to use her account to contact her contacts and spread more malicious activity that way. They were just posting crap and actually got this account shut down, and that's it. It's gone now. So bless her, she was in a real bad way, and because it just didn't dawn on her that actually she could take her own backup. So which leads me on nicely to Mac. Here we are, all using LinkedIn regularly. So what can we do to protect our LinkedIn data? Mute button.
User error, hey, user error. I tell you what, I've probably done over 1,000 audios and videos, and I'm sitting there talking away, looking at the mute button going, that's not a good sign. Anyway, so LinkedIn is, one of the things that we can do, and one of the things that I'm really happy about with LinkedIn is that they make it fairly easy for us to be able to get our data. unlike many platforms. I know recently, as an example, with a platform that most of us use, which is Zoom, and a lot of us use the cloud backup for that, they actually don't have an option to download all your data. You've got to go and download one video at a time, and that can take you forever if you've been using Zoom for forever. So I've actually moved away from that platform because I was just like, I can't back up my data. That's insane. But with LinkedIn, I've just dropped it into the comments on LinkedIn, where if you go to LinkedIn, my preferences, download my data, you can easily download your data. And I'll actually share that on here as well, so people can go and add that to to theirs. But it's literally, you just go into settings in LinkedIn and you go to my data, and you've got an option to either download, as an example, just all your articles or your connections or your imported contacts or your invitations or your recommendations or your registrations, or it literally gives you loads of options, but you can download all of the data. Now, the impact of this is vital, because I've seen so many people who, LinkedIn's got 1 billion users, and a lot of people now rely on LinkedIn as their kind of core communications with their connections, with their followers, for their reputation. And unfortunately, over the last few years, I've seen several people, both influencers as well as people that have come to me as clients, where they've come to me and gone, I used to have 20,000, I used to have 30,000 contacts or followers. I had all these groups that I had set up. We had this reputation. And literally overnight, somebody's come in, and as Paul was saying, they've gone and used that account, because a lot of people use the same passwords for all their socials, which is absolutely insane. Because it's just like social media, that I can remember my email, my password, same thing for everything. And it's one of the biggest mistakes that people can make. So two-factor authentication, it sends you a message, either on your phone, or it sends you a message on your email. And now you can use security keys and things like that. And if you're using Security Everywhere's password manager, it's just a no-brainer, because it's you don't have to remember things. But the danger is that, give you an example of one of the people that we worked with and became a client, and ironically, we had to send them to yourselves, Ben, to help them recover all the other things that were stolen. Is their LinkedIn account got compromised because of a very simple password, and as a result, all their connections started receiving messages from their company saying, hey, we've changed some of our details, just letting you know, updating bank details, email addresses, new account managers, just random stuff. And then all of a sudden, on their email, they started receiving malware, and their clients started receiving malware through those emails. So it's not just yourself that gets attacked. It becomes the whole ecosystem. And it literally shut their business down for 3 months. So if you want to imagine the financial impact of a business that had been running for 25 years and the last 10 years using LinkedIn, devastating. But we managed to get that back on track. But yeah, absolute nightmare. Most people lose everything. So I'll leave you with that, Ben.
Well, thank you very much for posting the link in the comments, so that it's easily available for everyone to get to, so that they can actually back that up. And I'd have to check how we're backing up all our video and audio sessions as well, so that we've got those available. And practice as you preach. So I don't know if France has got that organised really, but we do have, because we link the videos obviously to all the different pages and to our website and stuff like that. So that way, if so to anybody who's watching and listening, you can go back through the previous events if you've got a bit of time and want to brush up on a specific topic. Just have a look at which one is relative, and you can always go back and watch previous events that we've done in the past. And we've how many are we on now, Mac? What's 8 or 9, I think? About June last year, I think we started.
Events. Yeah, we're coming up to 9 months now. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So
So we are
almost a
building up
year.
a nice little library for people to be able to reference. And again, it's that's vital data, and everyone's given up their time to contribute in. It'd be such a shame if if that was lost. So yeah, I'll follow that up with Francis. Right, moving on. We are. It's lovely to have Hannah join us from the London Cyber Resilience Centre. So Simon is a regular from the London Centre and joins us on the calls, but he's unavailable today. So we have the lovely Hannah in his place. So Hannah, did you want to take a sort of a bit more of a technical look at the backups and backup strategies and the sort of different types of backups that are available?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ben. And also just quickly going off the back of what the others were saying about, how small businesses, rely so heavily on their devices for work purposes. When we're out in the community, we're always popping into the smallest of businesses who pretty much just use their phone for work purposes. And it's like, well, if you get that stolen or lost, which is so easy to do in London nowadays. It's like, well, if you're using that to rely on calling your suppliers, do you have that contact information backed up? If that's your lifeline for your business. The bigger businesses where there's like estate agents and solicitors or even dentists, which have that are privately owned and have like their own data and things like that. I often sort of walk in and say, well, do you feel ready to face a cyber attack? If this machine right here went down right now, what would happen? And a lot of them say we don't really feel prepared. We don't know what could happen or what we do and that kind of thing. And so, that's why it's really good to sort of just raise awareness today about like sort of solutions really of how to stay safe and look after the information. And there's sort of several solutions you can kind of use for backing up your information. I think the important thing you want to sort of think about, and it's choosing what's right for you and your circumstances and your timelines and that kind of thing. But it's thinking, what can I afford to lose? And like how what's really crucial and important for my business, how urgently do I need it, how accessible do I need it? But I think one important thing you want to think about is keeping it off the network, because as soon as it's kind of always connected to the same network and things like that, so that's like keeping your information connected to the laptop and the device you're using. If it's sort of all in one place, then that can be just cross-contaminated with malware, and then actually there's no point in having backups at all. Otherwise, if you're going to have that infected with malware, there's no point in having the backups. And so there's several ways of having, like, the cloud's been mentioned before. That's a way you can access it from anywhere. You can kind of keep it in like quite a large storage solution that's available to you. And also, it's just mainly the accessibility wise, and again, that's a way of keeping it off the network. But again, you have to keep an eye on what's being backed up into the cloud storage, because malware has got a tendency to get in there. So it's just making sure you have those scannings in place and really making sure that it's not getting infected itself and you're backing up the malware. You can have your hardware solutions and USBs as well, which you can again back those up onto your they're just the removable devices that you plug into your device, and then obviously they're not connected to your device long term, so you want to make sure to disconnect them when you're no longer backing things up. And when you're considering your backing up timeframes and stuff like that, you might want different backups on different solutions, so that one system's got your regular backups and others got maybe a delayed backup or something. So there's a bit of a delay there where there might hopefully isn't a risk of having it backed up with the ransomware and malware and all that kind of thing as well. And at the end of the day, also just making sure and checking regularly that they can be recovered, because again, if you don't check that they can be recovered and they're not fit for purpose, there's no point in having them and using them. So you just want to make sure that they actually work, and just making sure that also they're looked after as well. Doing your due diligence, using all those sort of security solutions available to look after the backups themselves, with your strong passwords, your multi-factor authentication, making sure they're encrypted so people can't see them. and just finding whatever works best for your circumstances really, and the time and the type of data you've got that you're storing as well. So that's just like, again, no point having backups if you're not going to look after them.
Yeah, very well said, Hannah. And it's a good point you make about actually having the different types of backup for the different types of data as well. So if you are paying a premium for cloud storage, you only want that to be your most sensitive data. Whereas if you've got some external hard drives that can have all your old back catalogs, and you take a couple of different copies, so we can have one off site. But I'm going to show my age now, but I've done 25 years in the industry, and I remember where it was a server, and we used to install fireproof and floodproof safes, which had a USB connection going through, so it could plug into the server. And then every night you had to swap the drive that was in the safe and take it home with you, and then you had to remember to bring the other one back in. So the fact that we've now got fast internet connections and we can just back it up to the cloud and it does it all for us is great. I remember we did have.
Oh, sorry.
Go on.
No, I was just going to add, off the back of your flood and fire example, that again, with the pro of having the cloud, is that it's protected from natural occurrences compared to like hard drives and USBs. That's a physical device and can be lost or stolen. But at the same time, again, the cloud can have a tendency to get infected with more at risk of hacking and that kind of thing. So there's pros and cons for everything, really. But yeah, there's obviously natural occurrences as well. It doesn't have to always be cyber that you're protecting your information from.
Yeah. Of course, we've had a customer that had a big library of tapes. It was an archive, and that room caught fire. Sprinklers went off, ruined all the tapes. So because they were only in little, the normal cassette boxes, and everything got water damaged. So they lost a lot, and they thought they had 12 years of all their whatever it was they were archiving. I think it was all the. Tell you what it was. It was the rushes, the original camera footage for where they did video editing. So that was always provided by the customer for them to edit, but it was all the original stuff. It wasn't the finished stuff, so I guess it wasn't as protected as well as some of the other stuff. But they thought, we'll put it in there because it's it's a fire protected room, so we'll keep it safe. And actually, it was the fire protection that ruined all the kit. But so I think that the thing there, Hannah, is having a mixture so that we've got the offsite in the cloud that just works for us and we can forget about it, but having it local as well, because one of the things that if there is a physical problem with the office and you've got to start working from home and you haven't got that nice speedy internet line at the office, you're in you're in the countryside somewhere, and suddenly you've got to access gigs and gigs and gigs of data from the cloud. Well, that's actually a nightmare because you've lost that quick internet connection. So actually having a local device, a local hard drive with key data on there is a really good complement. And like you say, so it's going to work differently depending on the type of data, the amount of data, and your as much as anything else. But it's having that sort of combination of a strategy. And as you said, test the backups, make sure they actually work, because if you don't do that, then it's when you need them that you find out that they're not working. Then of course you're in a whole world of hurt. But if I can carry on over to Very, because I'm sure you've got some great insights into some strategies and stuff like that, but also I'm sure you've come across some disaster stories as well, being in the profession you are.
Yeah. So we definitely come across a fair few of those where business get part of ransomware, and obviously important to remember that a ransomware usually gets infected first, and then it takes they can take a bit of time before they actually do the ransom, rather than they come into your machine and then that's it, you're done. No, it tends to be they will infect you somehow in the background and then waiting for a bit, and then they will go and actually hit you. So it's, at least that's one of the things we've definitely seen when we've had cases of reporting, and then obviously that does affect your backups. But Hannah mentioned it about doing your backups, and nobody wants to keep remembering it. So if you can have them to be automated, so you don't have to keep doing the work. So like with most platforms, even we're talking even the likes of WhatsApp, we don't even have to go your crazy systems. You can set up to do a backup automatically overnight, or every time, or you can set a time of the day that you want it to be done, and then that way you can always have access to it. And it's important kind of to remember that if you are going to recover it, it will ask for which backup do you want from. So if you know that something happened at a certain stage, or you have an idea, oh, I've been a victim of a ransomware, and if you take a couple of days before to start, or even a week before to start the actual ransom, then get a backup from 2 weeks before. It's kind of one of the advices that we usually give to people, because it's key, the timings of the backup that you're doing, and then you can recover it without having anything infected on it, particularly if it's malwares and stuff. We've had business who were able to recover their stuff, which is really good, because they've had good backups in places and they didn't lose that much, which is, in the grand scheme of things, if you're losing like thousands of gigabytes worth of data, and if you lose 4, that's not like we've got to pick and choose, right? And you can't have everything. But if you are also doing backups into hard drives and discs and that kind of thing, that you do it in a timely manner as you would do your other backup, because it's a bit like Hannah mentioned it, you don't want to do a backup and then have nothing, or not be able to access it, but mostly that you can do them in a timely manner, whether you set a similar schedule that you can do it exactly as your other ones, or you do it twice a week or 3 times a week, and then you put them into these hard drives or this USBs. I would imagine hard drives tend to hold the most, rather than a USB stick. I don't think I've seen a USB stick bigger than 128 gig. Someone corrects me here. But, whilst you can get hard drives of terabytes, and have them offline as much as you can, because the timing is key, even for your own personal backup from your own personal data. Like Apple, for example, lets you do it and does it automatically for you as long as you're connected to the Wi-Fi. But obviously, if you go somewhere remote and you have no Wi-Fi, then you won't have your backup. So if you haven't got your security, your home security done first, as we call it, like your housekeeping, then you're back on your own. When you got hacked or something, then you will have the same problem as you had it in the first place. So the housekeeping, the basics, is probably just as important as your backup, if not more. I'm nearly going to say a bit more important, because without them, then you have nothing, and you're more susceptible to anything. And we know criminals take no precedent on holding your data. They don't really care. They'll plug into your stuff. They don't care who you are. They just want to do as much damage as you can. If you're a massive business worth millions of pounds, then they got a lot of damage to do on you. And if your basics isn't done correctly and your employees haven't done their basics correctly, then your house is on fire. So yes, that's our experience. But we've had some good success stories on recovery. So at least that. So it's not all bad and gloom in this side.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm glad you said that, because it's good to reassure people that if they have spent the time putting a proper instance plan in place, that actually they can see God forbid anything actually happens, but then actually we can have some success stories where, someone unfortunately did get ransomed, but within 2 days they had all their systems back up and running, disruption was minimal, and they could get on with business. Just going slightly off topic with the ransomware stuff. I don't know whether it's actually being debated in court now, but they're talking about actually banning companies from paying the ransom. And I think that's an absolutely great idea, particularly in cases where data has been exfiltrated. Don't think because you've paid the ransom, they're not going to leak it. They're just not going to leak the data publicly. But it's going to be all over the underground Russian forums and hacker forums. So that data is still getting leaked. It's just not going to be done publicly on their leak website. So please do not pay ransoms. It doesn't work. It really, really doesn't work. And they will then still double extort you and sell your data anyway. So, right, Malcolm, I see you just joined us on the call. Welcome. Thank you very much for making yourself available. Nice to have you join us from sunny Portugal, is it? Oh, you're on mute, Malcolm.
Mac, can I be the captain of the team? The captain of the mute team. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, the topic of backup. The one point I want to make really very quickly up front is backup is the safety net. Way forward in front of this is our behavior and the things that we do and the presence we have and how we go about doing those things. So way forward in that. I just want to pass that comment. The second comment I'd also like to drop for thought is we talk a lot about our data, backing up our data and keeping our data secure. We've got our company data, we've got our employers' data, we've got personal data, we've got family data. Everything we do, we've got some form of social media footprint. What about a backup device? What do you do if your laptop's nicked? It's gone. Do you know how to do all the recoveries from another device? Do you know how to set up a secondary email address, for example, on your Gmail as a recovery address? Those are really important things that we all should get to know a little bit better so that we can make our recovery happen, because life happens while you've got other plans. Things happen, stuff happens, hackers happen. They're not nice fellas. And, you know, Ben, you talked about not paying the ransom. There's another secondary good reason for not paying the ransom. They're criminals. There's no guarantee they're going to give your data back anyway, even if you are being exfiltrated. You pay the money and they say, nah, we're not going to pay you. We're not going to give it back, or we're not going to give it all back, that type of thing. So our own behavior is massively, thank you, massively critical to this. The backup, by the time the backup happens, by the time the backup happens, we're already in the shtuk. We're already in trouble. We're in reaction mode. So let's rather focus our behavior in proactive mechanisms. And really, the only time, in my opinion, if we can get this behavior pattern right, the only time we're going to reach for backups is when the device is actually stolen or crashed or driven over by a car. Incidentally, I've done that. I drove over my phone with a tractor. So, yeah, I've done it. I can speak from experience. I just wanted to introduce that. I don't really want to talk a lot about the whole thing about backups. For me, it's about us, the people. It doesn't matter what backup technology you've got in place. It doesn't matter what social media tool you've got in place. It's the flesh and blood. It's us fellas and us ladies. And if we do better. And then the parting comment is the collaborative nature. I'm starting to introduce this sort of gated community for security. So I find with small and micro businesses that they tend to want to keep everything to themselves. How about we just expand this a little bit through this platform, and we start bringing micro businesses together to collaborate. And we, as a collaborated, informed group, can help micro and small businesses who feel they don't have the resources or the understanding to proceed. But yeah, so backups is your safety net. It's the last defense.
That's great, Malcolm, and then the fact that we are all coming together. I mean, with Paul and Hannah from the Cyber Resilience Centre, and very from the task force, the cyber task force with the police. It's all about getting those people, together so that we can share that knowledge, and hence why we're doing what we do what we're doing today. And we have just launched our new website, and one of the things that we're looking to supplement on the website is actually to have some more resources, such as just the sort of things that you were talking about, Malcolm. Having a recovery email on you, so that we've got all these different things that are actually there, but lots of people don't actually know about. And it could be so simple to add that recovery email, so you've got a backup to get back in, and being able to do your LinkedIn backup, your Facebook backup, because I certainly didn't know about the Facebook backup. I knew about the LinkedIn. And
the other thing, Ben. Sorry to cut you a little short there, Ben. Sorry, man. The other thing is the awareness of the difference between online storage and backup. Not many people know that Google Drive, for example, will empty your trash. Anything that's 30 days and older in your trash can is emptied permanently for life. Goodbye. Humbergeistly. Cheers. Check you later. It's gone for good. Yeah. Google Drive do the same thing. As soon as your drive fills up and you haven't made arrangements to increase your drive, they will start indiscriminately permanently deleting the oldest data in there. And I'm going to give you a use case, seeing as that we did use one earlier. A colleague of mine successfully moved a small linen company, exclusive linen company in the Algarve, onto Google Workspace 4 years ago. In November, she employed or recruited a new PA, and this PA took her all of it. She asked her to clear up all the email till 2021. So what she did is she put it in the trash can. And in January the 2nd, it was gone. 2017 through 2021, all email gone. The interesting part is she held my colleague responsible. She said, you put me on Google and you never told me this is going to happen. And he said, well, I didn't know either.
Right, blimey.
So there's that level of ignorance out there. Sorry to have cut you short, Ben.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, we are going to. I'm actually going to come on to the cloud storage and cloud backups a little bit later this morning. But no, what I was going to say when we about the website is that I look forward to having you contributing to those resources, Malcolm. Now that you've become a partner with Security Everywhere. Right, we have Magic Martin waiting in the wings to impress us and scare us with his magic and mind reading and intuition skills. But just before we do, we did have a question from Peter Friedman that I saw. Matt, you pop that up. So how do you access the back catalogues? Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but they should all be posted on the Security Everywhere LinkedIn page.
Let me find the mute button. So yes, if you go to search Security Everywhere on LinkedIn, go to the company page, and then on the left-hand side, or depending on which device you're on, look for events. And if you click on events, it will show you past events and it will show you future events. So two little tabs, just look out for those and you'll be able to see all the past events in one place under the company page.
Lovely. And does that include the audio events that we do on the third Thursday of the month?
So the audio events, LinkedIn does not currently have a option to replay those, but I know that those files are sent to yourself, so you are able to create a podcast. In fact, that might be something we need to have a discussion about, but that is something that we've just started with some other audios.
Yeah, now the new website's live. That's we're looking to get that content on there, so it's easily available as well. And just very quickly, sorry to keep you, Martin. Lisa De Haas has said, I've been looking for a UK-based cloud backup storage solution for my PC. Can you recommend anyway? Just shameless plug time. Just head over to security-everywhere.com, and have a look at what we can offer. And you should see on the website there's a link also to book a 15-minute call with Francis to discuss all your cybersecurity fears or concerns, or just if you need some advice, then do book a call with him. He's always out there. His mission is the Security Everywhere mission is to educate. It was a million people, it's now a million small businesses, and that's why we're here doing what we do. So yeah, do feel free to book a call with him and take a look at our flashy new website. Feedback is welcome. So without further adjournment or delay, Martin, welcome. If you'd like to tell us a little bit about what you do and your upcoming exploits and
Indeed, no worries at all. Thank you very much, Ben. And hello there, one and all. So, my name is Martin Rees. I am a magician based here in the UK, or Guinness World Record breaking magician, shall I say. And I am currently working on doing magic in space. This is my current project, and aiming to get to space by 2028 and set a new Guinness World Record for doing magic in 0G. Oh, dropping my stuff on the floor now, which doesn't help. But also, just from a personal perspective, just relating to this call. So last year, I got a new phone and moved my WhatsApp over from my existing phone to my new phone. But someone had recommended to me to get WhatsApp Business instead of normal WhatsApp. And in the process of moving from my old phone to my new phone, I lost over 10 years worth of my WhatsApp data. And WhatsApp for me has been my central core hub for everything with regards to all of the contacts I've had over the years, and just being able to reference like the previous bookings I may have done for people. I can keep track of it through the chat. and yeah, lost everything. And that was even with backup, or with the backup. It's just unfortunately in the process of crossing over, I misplaced my 16-digit security key that I needed for the WhatsApp business. So yeah, it was horrendously tragic at the time and devastating to lose all that data. And you actually grieve for it. You grieve for your data loss. And so I know it sounds stupid, but yeah, it's true though, isn't it? You know, and so yeah, so even if you do have backups, it is more so just reiterating that what the others have said about double checking what you have backed up and making sure that the backups are there and correct, because that's the last thing you want is when you need it or when you come to it that it is corrupt or it's not backed up properly, or yeah, you haven't, or in my case you just lose it all. So yeah. But in any case, right. So I was thinking about what magic to do today. I've done a couple of mind things. I was trying to remember actually what tricks I've done previously. I've done something with cards. Have I done something with phone before? Did we do something with the phone?
I think we did. Whoops, we did the phone.
Did it
where
with
you had the
me?
card, and yes, and there's an alert.
I'll be
Instagram.
culprit. So I'm not victim today.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Have I done something where everyone gets their phone involved and on the calculator? Have we done anything on the calculator? I was going to say.
Oh, we have done one with the calculator before. Yes,
Yeah.
Mac,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. So this is another prime example. I should have actually backed up and checked myself on what I'd done previously. So I didn't have to check on call what's happening. But in any case, yeah, well, obviously everything's all digital these days anyway. You've got chip and pin and your debit cards, credit cards, paying by Apple Pay or Google's Pay or Android Pay now as well. But the thing is, I went to America a few months ago for a gig, and it's my first time in the States. And the thing is, over there, like everything's huge. All the shops are huge. Get overexcited, put too many items in your basket, and you always know when you go overboard with stuff like this because you go and pay and literally just burn a hole in your wallet or your purse, which is never good. But there's something that's even worse, and that's when you think you've got money in your wallet or purse, you don't. Actually, all you have left is a bunch of receipts. Now, this is data, money that once was, and obviously you can't buy anything with it, but it's like a little backup essentially, because what I did find in the Americas, if you take the receipts, go 3, 2, 1, and give them a shake, you can turn them back into the real money, which is obviously a lot better. Now, little pop quiz question. I don't know if I've got any Americans tuning in right now over from the other side of the pond, but who can in the chat tell me first which president is on the dollar bill? Anyone? President? Dollar bill?
Lincoln?
No, it's not Lincoln. No.
Franklin.
No, it's not Franklin. It is George Washington. He was the first president of the United States, and he actually had false teeth, and there was a reason for this. They've incorporated it into the bill because if you touch Washington on the nose in just the right place, you can produce a lollipop out of the bill, because Washington was a big fan of lollipops. So I can prove this. If you go 3, 2, 1, you can put the lolly right into his face, but the other way around, which then does create a problem because we can't spend the money now or eat the lolly. So we go 3, 2, 1, pull that all the way back through, so you visibly see it go through without leaving a hole. And if you pop that back inside, that's how you know you got a real $1 bill. And there we go. Thank you very much.
Martin, absolutely superb, and I hope no wallets were harmed in the making of that little performance.
Do you offer a service?
It's pretty tragic. It's pretty tragic.
Do you offer a service converting those pieces of paper to dollars? Because I'm getting on a plane.
I charge per receipt. So.
Yeah, good, Martin. Thank you very much. So have we got your is that your Instagram at the bottom scrolling there now? Yeah. And if you give Mac your LinkedIn or your website, let's get them out there so people can come and check you out.
Magic Man Martin on that, so it's magicmanmartin.com, and on LinkedIn I'm Magic Man Martin as well.
Good. So people can come and have a look at some of the other stuff that you've done, and get you booked in, and the whole Magic in Space sounds incredibly exciting. So good luck. getting that
Yeah, that's very nice.
all moving and getting your sponsorship sorted and everything. That's
Thank you.
let me know when you're going to be doing the actual training for being an astronaut, because I'd be really interested to find out where that is and what you do there and how that works. I know they've got a facility down in Newquay. I think
Yes.
it's a 40-meter pool where they actually do they're doing astronaut training, and they put but instead of being obviously up in space, they put you 40 meters at the bottom of this pool to test your
my biggest fear is being underwater as well, so that's going to be fun. So.
Oh dear. But yeah, thank you very much for giving up your time and for taking the trouble to join us today. It's very much appreciated. We always look forward to having you on. Right, so we've got 13 minutes left to go and 2 things left to cover. So one of the things that Malcolm, you mentioned was the fact that the cloud data, the cloud email data and documents as well for the providers, the main providers, Microsoft 365 and Google Workspaces, they do not back up your data. It's a very common misconception that because, and like we said earlier, because it's with the Facebook and the LinkedIn, because it's in the cloud, we assume it's backed up. It is not. As Malcolm alluded to, I think it was 30 days he mentioned for Google Workspaces. It's a maximum of 28 days for Microsoft 365, and then it is gone. So if you accidentally delete an email and then 6 months later the customer comes back and says, "Oh, that project we did before, and I emailed you with all the specs. Can you find it?" And then you can't find it, and it is gone. And even worse, if there's actually documents associated with that as well. But there's another caveat of why it's so important to have a third-party backup solution for your cloud data. And that's that if your OneDrive is connected to your computer, when your computer gets ransomed, there are 2 new ransomware variants that can actually encrypt all your OneDrive data, and then it's gone. Because if you don't have that third-party backup, they also, I know with Microsoft 365, they do versioning. And you think, oh, well, I can roll back through the versions. Nope, they clear the version history down to 1 day. So you lose all your old versions, and the latest or current version is then encrypted. So the only way you can safeguard that data is to actually have a third-party backup solution. Most of them have long retention periods because they realise that you've got to have 7 years for compliance and things like that. So very often it's unlimited amounts of data, unlimited retention for a small monthly fee. And of course, you don't have to back up every single account. If you've got, an info app or a hello app where you just get general inquiries, well, yeah, don't worry about that one. But get your main accounts backed up, particularly if you're using Teams and SharePoint. To collaborate, as many more of us do now, and make sure that you've got those resources protected. And what you'll find is with most of the solution providers, particularly security everywhere is cloud backup, then it does include not just the email data, but all the associated documents as well. So Google Drive is along with Google Workspaces, and Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint is all included with the backup for the Microsoft 365 emails. So you'll find it doesn't have to be expensive. It just works in the background, takes multiple snapshots. So as Malcolm was saying, and I think very, very well handled, we're saying that it's having what time of day the backups happen. So they happen multiple times a day, so that you do actually mean that there's if you're an email comes in at 8 o'clock at night, it's not going to wait until the next day to get backed up. It will actually hit one of the backup slots during the day. So if you want to find out more, just head on over to security-everywhere.com. Now, Mac, I believe that you've had a question for us.
I have a few questions because very specifically mentioned about being able to back up things onto USB drives, but they only go up to a certain size. And that reminded me of the fact that there are so many special offers because people like going cheap on things that are actually really important, which, when we talk about data. And one of the things that I found is almost every website, there's my children are like big Temu fans, and there's all these other websites that have come out, like obviously you've got eBay and you've got Amazon, where people are selling data devices. Now, I have personally had some really bad experiences where I've gone and saw a USB device that was, it's 128 gig, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. I'm going to go and buy one of those, and then I back up my work stuff because I'm traveling, and I think, okay, well, I'll put all the stuff that I need just on there as a backup, and then find out later that actual drive is only it's 128 meg. It's not 128 gig. Because they using false figures on there, and even though when you put it into your computer it says 128 gig, but it isn't. So you back up, and then when you try and recover this information, it's all gone. So there's that, as well as there's a lot of different brands of hard drives being sold on Amazon, eBay, etc. So just really, the question is more, what advice do you have for people when going to select these devices? Because I know I've been caught out with so many of them where they have their own software on, which you don't realize that it puts stuff onto your computer or locks it all down. So what is your advice when it comes to choosing local storage?
Right. Does anyone want to pick this one up? Or shall I start? No, shaking your head. Right, okay.
I will. I want to ask Mac a question. You said, what's your advice for local storage?
For local backup. Sorry. Good point.
Yeah. So just unpack it, just 2 sentences. What do you mean by local?
So onto either an external hard drive or USB device of some sort.
Localized.
Yeah.
So, external hard drive, solid state, not a spinning drive. That's where I'd start, at least twice the size of your local disk, your laptop disk, especially when working in Windows. There's other options in Linux, like time shift and doing those type of things. Think of snapshotting as well. System restore points. If your risk appetite is low, take the time to have someone teach you how to do system restores, because many a loss is due to a Windows update. Seriously big problem. You can tell I love Microsoft, can't you?
Yeah.
Right. So I would say that would be my advice. A local hard drive, a USB connection, USB-C, what doesn't matter. At least double the size of your laptop drive. And if you really have low appetite for risk, learn how to do system restores.
And then,
yeah, very good advice.
Ben, I've got the same question when it comes to cloud, because one of the things that I found is, as you guys have mentioned now, a lot of the cloud storage doesn't actually, because most people don't read the fine detail. So as an example, like Amazon now give you unlimited backup for your photographs, but it's not for your video. So if you think you're backing up your phone and it's got all your videos and all the things and it's all going there, it's all great, but actually they have a limited to your videos, and you've got to buy additional storage for that, and you don't, you think unlimited, it's all there. But a lot of systems also, if you delete, like you've got a cloud backup, but if you delete something from your device, it deletes it from the cloud as well. Now, I assumed, say that again, Malcolm?
That's syncing. A lot of people don't understand syncing.
Yeah. So my assumption right in the beginning with data was, well, if I delete it from my phone, at least it's backed up in the cloud. And then I go back later and I'm looking for stuff and it's gone. And I'm like, what have I done? So can you explain that to people? Because I'm sure a lot of people fallen victim just to that.
So there's 2 kinds of syncing. There's asynchronous and synchronous. The one is where you can sync both ways. So whatever you do on device 1 will happen on device 2. And then the second is you can actually set your laptop to upsync only. And if you want to get it down, you've got to go and fetch it. Once again, it's just a little bit of time with an expert. There's that big word, awareness. This is coming out very strong in this conversation, awareness. And talk to the people. As we go along in our new partnership with Security Everywhere, we're going to be putting a lot more stuff there in the FAQ section. So spread the word, really is. And the mantra underneath this, the ethos underneath this is, it's okay to not know. No one's going to judge you as stupid or ignorant or uneducated if you don't know. Ask the question. I spent 8 years on a submarine. You definitely ask what this valve does before you open it. And I'll leave you with a small analogy. I walk through the submarine and I see a droplet of water on a pipe. Taste it. If it's salty, tell someone it's coming from outside. So talk, communicate. That's what these sessions are for. The more we can get the word out there. And I know I'm speaking to people that are already participating in this. We need to see these things get bigger. And you know, the power of blogging, Mac, the power of blogging.
Right, some great questions there, Mac. Going back to the original question about how you choose between the kinds of different devices out there. Go for brand names that you recognise. So same with anything when you purchase on the internet. Check the reviews. Check how long ago the reviews were posted, and actually read a couple of them to make sure they actually are in fluent English and not just been done by they're not fake reviews from one of these click centers in Vietnam and those parts of Asia where they actually sell a number of reviews for a certain amount, and then they'll go around all the different social platforms and put it in. So again, it's do your homework. The other one is that really good that Malcolm brought up about using SSDs. Now they are going to be more expensive, but the great thing about SSDs is that they don't have the same physical moving parts that a traditional spinning drive does. So if you're looking to actually have archive material where it's going to go and sit on a shelf for a year, 2 years before you even think about getting it out again, an SSD is a much more reliable resource than a drive that can get dusty, and then when it tries to spin up, you hear the grinding, and you know that's your data just being worn away before you can get to it. And I've had that happen before. I mentioned earlier about the flooding and the backup tapes. So SSD is a much more resilient backup resource, although it does cost a few extra pennies. If you're doing, if you need a resource where you can plug in such as storage, but it's also a backup or a data resource away from your computer itself. So you're on your laptop, you've only got 500 gig, but you need a couple of terabytes because you've got your movies and your images that you're going to upload onto your social media site. The one that we always recommended in the past, because you're using it all the time, spinning disk is obviously more affordable for a larger size, but get one that's got the 2 disks and get them mirrored. And then if one of the drives fails, you've always got the other one to run on until you get the other one replaced. So having a 2-drive caddy, and then again, you can actually then get the NAS boxes, which have got the 4 drives, and they have even more redundancy and resiliency. And then it's I think as Hannah suggested, it's just looking at what type of data, how often is it being backed up, how often you need to access it, and of course, what your budget is, because, if we were all absolutely loaded, we could go out and buy the very greatest, best stuff. There wouldn't be a question. You just find the most expensive one, but that's not actually realistic, is it? And we do have to work within the restraints that we've got. But and of course, as Malcolm very rightly pointed out, reach out and speak to somebody, ask the question, have a little Google online and see what comes back with all the tips and advice. Or if you're lucky enough, you can always join a LinkedIn live session, and we may well have discussed the topic that you're interested in anyway. Which brings us to the end of the hour. So I'd really like to thank Hannah from the, let's get it the right way around, to the London Cyber Resilience Centre, and Paul from the Eastern Cyber Resilience Centre, Very from the Beds Constabulary Cyber Task Force, Malcolm from Cyber Sabre over in sunny Portugal, and of course the LinkedIn maestro, the expert, Mac. Thank you very, very much.
May I say something? Sorry, Ben, it's Cyber Saber. It's Cyber Saber, even though it's spelled Saber, because the word Saber means to know in Portuguese. It means to know.
Oh, there you go. So, hey, I've learned something new, and my apologies, Malcolm. That's, I'm glad you popped in, and corrected me on that one.
No
so
worries.
just as a final thought, 2 weeks time, the third Thursday of every month, we do our Ask Us Anything session hosted by my colleague Sheldon, and that's where rather than just having to put questions, comments in the chat like people have done today, people can actually join the session, be invited up to the panel, and actually ask, and not just ask their question, but then have a conversation about what it is they want to find out. So if there's any burning cybersecurity concerns or issues that you'd like to find out more about, do please join us in 2 weeks' time. It's I think the session's 4 p.m. Again, links on the Security Everywhere LinkedIn page, and come and have a chat with us, and we'll see what we can do to help and point you in the right direction. But my thanks once again to all the panelists. I want to, of course, Martin for his great bit of entertainment. It's always a pleasure, and we wish you the very best of luck, as I say, promoting and resourcing for your space in magic. We can't wait to find out more about it. So thank you all, and until the next time.
Cheers, everybody.